Previously on Frugal Home Gym Deals. We might have just uncovered a pricing error of a lifetime. Walmart mislabeled this, which is absolutely crazy. So here's a look of the actual rack you're gonna get for only $200.
Alrighty, it took a while, but my $200 power cage is finally here. 3x3, we're gonna open it up and see the actual quality of it. There's two boxes for the power cage, and then I got another box for the extension. The box with all of the vertical posts, so where most of the weight is, this box actually weighed 130 pounds. So if you see your FedEx driver coming, please give your FedEx driver a helping hand. Mine was super glad and thankful that I was able to help out. They saran wrapped everything, so in case the cardboard breaks, it looks like everything, all the parts would stay together at least, but otherwise, I'm super excited to dig into this and see what I got. Let's unbox the $200 power cage.
I was very impressed by the packaging of this power rack, especially for being a budget power rack. Normally, this power rack goes for $500, so I wasn't expecting too much, but they did a very good job packaging it. For number one, each piece, especially the posts, each metal piece was wrapped in a kind of a plastic bag, and that just helped prevent minor dings or scratches that happens throughout shipping. Number two, each individual box was saran wrapped, so even the smaller box that came with the power rack, there were a few holes in it, but because of the saran wrap, it helped keep all the pieces together and got to my house in one piece. And then thirdly, the heavy box with all of the posts had a very thin but wood lining that layered the inside of the box, and that just overall helped the box rigidity and helped stop any damage that could happen through shipping.
We are done building the power rack, and as you can tell, it's just a tad wobbly, and actually did that on purpose. So one major tip I have when you're building home gym equipment is to always tighten the bolts at the end. So what I find is if I tighten the bolts as I'm building the power rack or whatever home gym machine I'm building, I find that the machine ends up being a little wobbly or just kind of twisted or bent to where it doesn't sit perfectly flat. So what I found to do is I would build it and keep all the bolts loosened, and then when you're done, put it wherever you want it to be in your gym. And then what that does is it lets the machine kind of sit naturally in a natural resting position before you tighten them. So once you let it sit, and then you can go back and tighten all the bolts, and then it'll be tightened in that natural position where you want the machine. So you'll find that it doesn't rock or wobble as much as if you just tightened it as you built the machine. All right, let's check out the FlexWave extension kit. Let's see what it comes with.
The extension kit came with 8 weight horns, 2 14-inch cross members, and then 2 12-gauge vertical posts. Keep in mind the vertical posts are shorter than the ones that come with the power cage.
So the Raptors got the number one pick in the lottery, and then the next year, yeah.
So I didn't like the Signature Fitness logo they have at the very top there. So what I decided to do was to spray paint it. I tested a few black paints I had, and a semi-gloss one I had was too shiny, but this one, a Rust-Oleum one I'll show later, was kind of perfect. It was a perfect match. So I sprayed the Signature Fitness, and I ended up having to use 3 coats just because the white paint was kind of glossy and you could kind of still see through it. I think next time I would kind of sand down the Signature Fitness white paint first before applying the black paint.
So online, Signature Fitness labels this rack as 11-gauge steel. I think a lot of people are skeptical whether it's actually 11-gauge steel. There's a few people online who have measured it to be 12-gauge steel, so I'm going to measure it myself with a caliper. So I'm measuring it to be about 2.56 millimeters, and that varies a little bit. The few measurements I've done, I've had between like 2.6 and 2.8. So I would say yes, this is definitely closer to 12 gauge steel. It's definitely not 11 gauge steel. All right, so I mounted the expansion post. It looks great. There's just a tiny gap at the bottom, which is actually the exact size of a horse stall mat. So I'm gonna cut out a little horse stall mat square and to kind of make a base for this post. On the safety straps, where the black meets the red, the black was cut very poorly, so I would take a lighter and just kind of run it across the black seam, because there's a good amount of loose threading on the black fabric, where if it gets stuck or caught on something, I could definitely see this getting unraveled. So I would just take a lighter and run it across and just kind of tie up those loose seams and ends. Yep, that seems to do the trick. Here you guys have it. It took me about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to build. Most of the time was kind of me just figuring out what I wanted to do with the expansion kit. But otherwise, I am super happy with how this rack turned out for $200. $200 for just the power rack, and then the expansion kit was an extra $50. But I am very happy with the quality. The steel gauge turned out to be 12 gauge instead of 11 gauge, which is honestly not a huge deal. 12 gauge is still plenty. This thing is way more sturdy than my previous, I think it was a 14 gauge 2x2 rack. So I'm very happy with the upgrade. Let's check out some of the features of the FlexWave or Signature Fitness, whatever you want to call this rack, 3x3, 12 gauge steel power rack. So first off, let's check out how I decided to configure the extension or expansion kit. So I think originally I was gonna do kind of what a lot of other people are doing, which is configure the expansion kit behind the rack to make it a 6-post rack. The only problem is the expansion kit only comes with 2 of these cross members, and you would need 4. So I think some people were using 2x4s to kind of act as a cross member, or you could just have 1 cross member, it just won't be very sturdy on each side, or you could buy 2 kits, so you would have 4 cross members, and then you just have 2 extra uprights that you could do whatever you want with. I was gonna do that, but honestly, after I tried it, it kind of got in the way of my cable machine over here, to where it interfered with my range of motion. If I was trying to extend this arm all the way out, the rack would kind of be in front of the cable machine, so it kind of got in the way, so I decided not to do that. So what I did was I kind of just extended one of the vertical uprights off of the front vertical upright. So it's kind of just a side post, and my plan is kind of just use this for storage, or if I get any attachments that work with a rack, I can put it on this instead of kind of taking up room with my power rack. So I can kind of just keep attachment on here permanently. So some cool attachments that I could use with this vertical upright that I kind of mounted to the side would be maybe something like a Matador dip attachment, so I could do dips right here, or maybe a belt squat over here, and I can kind of just keep it mounted there like permanently, and it doesn't get in the way when I'm trying to use my actual power rack. I think the last attachment I would probably use this upright for would be maybe a shoulder attachment, so kind of like a shoulder boulder where I can do my shoulder lat raises. Otherwise, I would probably just use it for storage. Maybe put some hooks on it or some more weight horns and just leave weights or random attachments or cable attachments on this vertical upright. So let's go over some features of this power rack. It has 5/8 inch holes, so it does not have 1 inch holes. That's probably one of the one of the few downsides of this power rack. It does have west side spacing where you would put your safety straps, so that is very helpful that there's very minimal spacing between each 5/8 inch hole. And then it comes with safety straps, which come out really easy with this quick pin. And these seem pretty sturdy. It's definitely going to be enough for however much I am lifting. It comes with 2 J cups. I really like that the J cups have kind of this felt lining inside, so it doesn't scratch up your rack, and when you put it on your rack, it feels very smooth. And then from the expansion kit or extension kit, I mounted my weight horns at the very top of my rack to where I can put just smaller weights for when I'm trying to quickly change out weights for, say, bench press. So I think one of the other downsides of this rack, while it's not a huge downside, is the pull-up bar. It does have a lot of angles that you can use, but it's not knurled. It's pretty thin, so it's not very thick. If you like thicker pull-up bars, and then it's not knurled, so I would get some kind of tape to maybe tape these up just so you have a little more grip. Otherwise, it works perfectly fine as a pull-up bar. Overall, kind of the main reason I wanted to upgrade racks was just a more stable rack. My 2x2 rack, while it was perfectly fine, it worked for everything I needed it to, it's just a little wobbly. And honestly, for the price, I like how this rack looks a lot more, and the stability is like maybe 3, 4, 5 times better than my 2x2 rack. If I wobbled or shook that one, that one would shake for a few seconds before it would stop. This one, I try to shake it and it does not go anywhere. I did find that after I added the expansion post over here, it reduced the shakiness of this rack even more. So if you find that you built this and it is shaky, then maybe think about adding a post or 2 posts just to add more stability to it. I think the other thing is, like I talked about earlier, is just to make sure you tighten everything down at the very end. That makes a huge difference. Overall, I just say that I am super happy with this rack, especially at the price point of $200. The finish of this rack is definitely not perfect. There's a few scratches or dings throughout the painting, but honestly, the red powder coating looks great. Like, this thing should last for a very long time, and I think 99% of people are not going to notice any downgrade of quality between this and a more expensive powder coated power rack. This looks great for what it is. I also really like that it has numbering, and like I said before, I really like the west side spacing. So of course there's going to be some downsides that I talked about, but I think all of those downsides you're able to look past when you're only paying $200. So overall, I would recommend this rack for $200. There's, I think, maybe 20 or 30 of these left on Walmart, so if you want one, definitely grab it as soon as you can. They're definitely not going to restock this at the price of $200. Get in on this deal while you can. There's already a bunch of us in the community who grabbed this because there was a price error, and I think we're all super happy with it. You can look through my community post tab. People are posting about all their racks that they're getting for $200, and everyone is just super happy because you're not going to find another deal like this probably for a long time.
Thank you for watching, guys. This is Frugal Home Gym, and I'm out.